So now we have a logo looking graphic. I have added a couple of text layers, but otherwise this should look about the way it did in that last video that you watched. Let's talk about logos in general. So this has got a couple things going for it. It's really only made up of two colors. That can be useful, especially expense-wise, if you are ever planning on printing your logo on t-shirts or on a box or something, because if you are not printing in four colors, CMYK, you are only printing in, say, two colors, then you may have a better pricing point for your materials because it takes fewer plates to print the two colors. That's one reason that often logos are simplified down to one or two colors, kept pretty simple. Now here's something about this image is that the headphones is a raster graphic. It is a layer made up of pixels. So right now the image size of this image, which is about 6 by 4 inches, so the size of a photograph at 300 dpi, that's about the largest this could ever be used. I couldn't ever make it larger to put on, for example, a billboard sign. That's one of the reasons that logos are often made of flat vector graphics, is they're a little bit more versatile. This would be a good version to use perhaps on a website or even on a business card if you were printing with a photographic style in mind. But let's go for the vector style since that's what this lesson is all about. I'm going to hide my layer here and go back to my headphones. Make sure my paths are visible. You can actually go from a path like this to a shape path that will be a layer in your layers panel without having to retrace the object. If you click on path, grab your pen tool, make sure it's set to path. One of the options up here besides make is shape, and if you click on that, you will have a shape layer and it will automatically have the settings that your pen last had. If you want to change those settings, for example to give this a solid fill, you need to change your pen back to shape and set those up the way you want them to be. So here's a no stroke and fill. Once you have your vector layer ready to go, grab your Move tool and click and drag it to the logo file. And there it is. It actually came in about the right size. And I would actually like this one to be black, so I'm going to grab my pen tool so I can change the color. Hopefully Photoshop will change that in the future. It's a little bit cumbersome to have to always get your pen tool and set it to shape to affect the color or the outline of something. And if there is another way to do that, please shoot me an email if you know of it, because I kind of looked and I couldn't find anything. So here we have a completely vector logo. This is something that I could take and make a lot bigger or even smaller and not lose any sort of quality to it. In fact, I embellished this just a little bit more by outlining the ear pads with a bright blue, and I'm going to show you how this can convert to a much larger size. So remember, right now this is about 6 by 4. I'm going to create a new file and size it 40 by 20 at 300 dpi, which is freaking-enormous, and hit OK. I'm going to grab all of my vector layers and drag them over to my new file. This is how big this is on a 40-inch square item. Alright, so making this larger, if you just hit Command T and enlarge it, there's going to be something you'll notice probably pretty quickly as soon as you hit enter. The headphones themselves, the type sized up great, but unfortunately, the line stayed at a 2-point line. It didn't actually size up with everything else. So hit Command Z to undo. This is where having a smart object comes in handy. If you right-click over your selected layers and change them to a smart object, convert to smart object. Now when you transform, those vector layers will still be honored. It's not going to pixelate any of them. Hit enter to finalize, but it will keep your path of the cord and the outline of the headphones the same size and not keep them at the set 2 point. Now this is big now. I can print this out or put it on a billboard or whatever I wanted. This is a very versatile logo.